The story begins when the company's client meeting was just completed. After hours of discussion and deliberation, all the important aspects of the project were finally agreed upon. The tense atmosphere in the meeting room gradually eased as the documents were folded and put away in briefcases. After thinking for a while, Uyen, the company director, decided to stay a few more days. This project was very important to his company, so he wanted to spend more time discussing it in depth with the partner and finalizing the preparations before starting implementation. He told his driver to drive back first so he could return to the company and the construction site to handle the pending tasks. The driver was initially surprised because on previous business trips, he usually stayed behind to serve his boss. But then he quickly understood that perhaps his boss wanted some private space. Uyen was also on this trip, so perhaps Uyen wanted to arrange time to rest and discuss things further with her. The car left the guest house, leaving behind the tranquil mountain scenery. Meanwhile, Uyen was in the guest house amidst the open, natural surroundings. After unpacking, she sat in her room to rest for a while. But the air in the room felt a little stuffy. Perhaps the whole day of traveling and working had weighed heavily on her mind. Uyen decided to go for a walk. Stepping out of the guest house, she immediately felt the cool mountain breeze. The air here was much fresher and more pleasant than in her room. Around her were lush green trees stretching along the mountainside. In the distance, a small stream flowed gently between the rocks. In front of her, a wide lake lay silently under the afternoon sun. Uyen walked slowly along the small dirt path, admiring the surrounding scenery. The peacefulness of nature gradually lifted her spirits. After stressful days at work, taking a stroll in such a setting made her feel much more relaxed. At the same time, Uyen was meeting with an important partner to discuss the company's project. Despite his young age, he held the position of director at a company operating in the construction and solar energy sectors. The projects he pursued required meticulous planning and a long-term vision. During the meeting, Uyen clearly presented the project's development plan. He analyzed the area's potential, topographical conditions, and the feasibility of solar energy exploitation. He explained every detail convincingly and clearly. The initial partners were still quite cautious. This project required a large amount of capital, so they needed to consider it very carefully. However, Uyen's confidence and determination gradually changed their minds. He affirmed that he had complete faith in the plan he had prepared, even willing to stake his honor and position to ensure the project's successful implementation. After some discussion, the partners finally agreed to cooperate. They decided to provide 50% of the capital for Uyen to start implementing the project. This decision not only helped his plan take a significant step forward, but also opened up opportunities for long-term cooperation in the future. While Uyen was busy with work, Uyen continued to stroll around the area near the guest house. Initially, she only intended to walk a short distance, but because the scenery was so peaceful, she unintentionally went further than planned. The small path led through rows of trees and along the hillside. The sound of flowing water from the nearby stream, combined with the wind rustling through the leaves, created a very peaceful scene. However, after a while, Uyen began to feel unwell. A sudden headache struck, forcing her to stop. The dizziness became increasingly pronounced. Perhaps it was due to the change in weather or the accumulated fatigue from days of work and travel. Realizing her condition, Uyen tried to return to the guest house. She didn't want the An to worry when he returned and didn't find her. But after walking a short distance, the dizziness worsened. Her vision began to blur. Her body lost strength. Finally, Uyen couldn't walk any further. She fell onto the deserted road and fainted. Fortunately, a local girl was passing by. Upon discovering someone lying unconscious on the road, she immediately ran to check on her. She realized Uyen had a high fever and was very weak. Uyen was also covered in dirt from a fall. The road was quite deserted, and the nearest medical station was quite far away. After considering the situation, the girl decided to take Uyen to her own home for temporary care. Although Uyen was still worried that Theon would come looking for her, the girl understood that Uyen's condition made it impossible for her to continue on her own. Therefore, she resolutely helped Uyen home. The girl's house was located in a small corner of the mountains. The house was simple but neat and warm. After bringing Uyen inside, she quickly prepared water and helped Uyen lie down to rest. She wiped the dust off Uyen's clothes and placed a wet towel on her forehead to cool her down. The house was quiet, with only the gentle breeze outside. After a while, Uyen gradually regained consciousness. However, she was still very tired and almost too weak to speak much. In her daze, she only managed to say that she was at the Tieu Uyen Hotel before falling asleep again from exhaustion. Meanwhile, Theron, after finishing his meeting with his business partner, returned to the guest house. Upon entering the room, he realized Uyen wasn't there. Initially, he thought she had just gone for a walk nearby, but after waiting for quite a while without seeing her return, a feeling of anxiety began to set in. Theron went outside to search around the guest house. He asked the staff and people around if anyone had seen Uyen, but they all shook their heads. The sky gradually darkened. The sunset disappeared behind the mountains, giving way to the night that was slowly descending. The anxiety in Theon's heart grew stronger. He began searching along the nearby roads, hoping to encounter Uyen somewhere along the way. Night fell completely. In the small house in the mountains, Uyen woke up again. She felt a little better now. The kind girl sitting beside her recounted how she had seen Uyen collapse in the middle of the road and brought her home to care for her. Looking closely at the girl's face, Uyen suddenly felt a sense of familiarity. After a moment of thought, she realized that this girl was the same one who had helped her and her friend retrieve their lost bag during a previous encounter. Both were surprised by the coincidence. No one expected them to meet a second time in such a special way. Uyen desperately wanted to return to the hotel immediately, worried that Theon was looking for her. However, it was already dark. The forest road was difficult to navigate, and her health hadn't fully recovered. The girl advised Uyen to stay overnight for safety. The next morning, when it was light and her health was better, she would take Uyen back to the Tieu Uyen Hotel. After some thought, Uyen finally agreed. Meanwhile, in the darkness of the mountains, the An was still searching for Uyen. He went through the roads around the guest house, asking anyone he might meet along the way. He was completely unaware that Uyen was in a small house nearby, being cared for by a kind person. The story concludes with the An's anxiety and the fateful encounter between Uyen and the strange girl. And it seems that, as the next day dawns, their journey still holds many surprises ahead.